and welcome to an LSJ late review. This time for the 1994 biopic Ed Wood. So Ed Wood is a loving biopic based on the famously bad director Edward D. Wood Jr. Now, I think we've all heard of at least one Ed Wood movie, which is Plan 9 from Outer Space, but this man has made a lot of trash. A lot. And a lot of it is so bad it's bad, but there is some of it that is so bad that it's good. So the movie follows Ed Wood and basically concentrates on the making of three of his movies, that being Glenn or Glenda, Bride of the Monster, and of course the famous Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's not the most historically accurate movie, and I think that's done on purpose. Reading up on this flick, Tim Burton, the director, he wanted to make something that was a bit more optimistic and kind of loving. Because by this point, and even still today, a lot of people will shit on Ed Wood. And sometimes with good reason, because his movies are fucking terrible. But I think this is kind of like a celebration. And that really shows. The performances in this movie are magical. Especially Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi is Ed Wood's idol. Martin Landau is fucking phenomenal. He really deserved the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for this movie. Every scene he is in, you're like Ed Wood. Ed Wood, in every time he looks at Bela Lugosi, he's like, wow. And every time you watch Martin Landau, you're kind of like, wow, this guy's amazing. And perfect casting, because I find Martin Landau, his career kind of had peaks and valleys, and all that kind of stuff. And Bela Lugosi, from when the movie takes up on his life, washed out actor and morphine addict as well. Johnny Depp as the eponymous Ed Wood is a delight, as he usually is when paired up with Tim Burton. Now, his portrayal of Ed Wood is very naive and optimistic, but also very accepting. One thing I really liked about this movie, and I think some of this must have been true in real life too, is that Ed Wood's a very accepting individual. He takes you as you are and accepts you for who you are as well. And for the time, that must have been hard for a lot of people to feel accepted, because maybe they're trans or transvestites, all that kind of stuff. And I will say, when I watched this movie, after I watched it, now I'd seen Plan 9 from Outer Space years and years ago, but I'd never seen Glenn or Glenda. So I watched that, and just as a little aside, I'm not going to do a full review of Glenn or Glenda, because it's a fucking awful movie, and yeah, it's fucking bad, but I love the balls of this movie. This is a movie where it comes out saying you should accept people for who they are, because what they are isn't that bad. There's nothing wrong with it. And, then it's not going to hurt anyone or anything like that. That's the kind of message I got from Glenn or Glenda. They say anything but trans, because I don't think trans was a term at that point, but they say that they dance around everything but saying that word. Today we're just saying, just say trans, but no, they don't have that. So it explains a lot of things like what trans is, what transvestites are, what goes on with sex changes, things like that, which must have seemed really lurid and kind of disgusting back in the time. Today it's just like, okay, that's fine. But Ed Wood plays the main character in that movie, who, just like Ed Wood in real life, like to put on women's clothing and things like that. So the balls of this movie is amazing. It's let down by being just over an hour long and full of fucking stock footage and narration. Scenes aren't so much as acted out with dialogue, but acted out as a narrator tells you what the fuck's going on. It's like a 30-minute short stretched out with stock footage and narration to make it look like an hour and change, and also with this weird dream montage in the middle. So I think that's a good sign of what I thought about the movie Ed Wood. If I thought, you know what, I actually want to check out one of this man's movies, specifically one of the ones that was focused on, and I'll put a link to it down below, because all three of the movies they focus on in Ed Wood are in the public domain, and they're all on YouTube, so I'll put links down below. As for the other performances, Bill Murray as Bunny is fantastic as well. George, the Animal Steel, is really good as Tor Johnson. There's really not a poor performance in the flick. I feel sorry for Sarah Jessica Parker, not because she's bad in this movie, she's actually really good. But this started the horse joke phenomenon that she's never shaken for the rest of her career. However, she's fantastic in this movie as well. Now, I'd say the only negative I can actually say about the movie Ed Wood is the last 30 minutes seem a little rushed, because we've still got some story to tell of the characters, but we've also got to get to Plan 9 from outer space. So the last 30 minutes seems like a bit of a scramble to kind of fit everything in. It works, and it doesn't. It's not jarring. It doesn't detract from the movie so much. But the movie has a certain amount of pacing throughout it, and then the last half hour, it just feels a little different, but not in a bad way. And then cue all biographical, semi-biographical flicks that have this is what happened to them after the movie, and all that kind of stuff. And I gotta say, I loved it. It's fucking hilarious. There's a guy, Ed Wood and one of the other characters come up to one of the cameramen and go, "Hey, which dress should we wear? Should be in this scene? The red one or the green one?" And he's like, "I can't tell the difference. I'm colorblind. But I like the dark grey one," which is hilarious. The movie's in black and white. The movie's, and that's just one of them. Most of the good lines, though, are taken by Bela Lugosi. So Martin Landau plays them absolutely perfectly. And I just love this movie. But it's not a perfect movie, mostly because of that last half hour. So I'm giving Ed Wood a 9 out of 10. This movie fucking flopped when it came out. I was 11 when it came out, so sue me, I didn't really see it. I watched it recently because I'm on a podcast where we discuss this movie, Ed Wood, at length. So if you think, oh look, 5 or 10 minutes, that's not enough time to talk about every nook and cranny and nugget of amazingness in this movie. My friend Andrew and I, on his podcast, the Road Home from Wrestling, this is under a subheading, the Road Home from Film. We recorded that today. I'm doing this movie review just a little bit afterwards, and I'm going to have a link below where you can check out the Road Home from Wrestling and all that jazz. So it's a good conversation. We go pretty in depth on the movie from start to finish. Even then, there could have been so much more we discussed. We even discussed a little bit about Glenn and Glenda, because I did watch that also in preparation. I wanted to have at least one Ed Wood movie fresh in my mind when we watched or discussed the film Ed Wood. So go see it. I know that's hard to say. Go see it. Go see it where? On your TV, or your computer, or your phone. Stream it if you can. I'm pretty sure you can rent this for pretty cheap online. I've got an old DVD copy, so that worked for me. But chase that up. This is a gem. Like, it's one of those movies that might have flopped, but the buzz is huge. Like, at the time, I remember it being highly critically acclaimed, and it won 2 Oscars, one for makeup and also one for the outstanding Martin Landau. This is, if you're iffy on Tim Burton flicks, which I can be, especially the more recent ones, he's got gems. It's undeniable. This guy's got some amazing films. This is one of the best. It might even be his best film. It's a good homage love letter. Gets a 9 out of 10. Loses the point maybe because of that last half hour. While still good, it's got a lot in it. It's kind of glossed on and crammed in. It's rushed. So, yeah, check that movie out. I'm hoping to have another review out this week, which will be another late review, or it might be I'm undecided. I've got my fucking list is ever expanding of new shit and old shit. So bear with me on that. This is a bit of a longer video, but I felt I needed a bit of a space to breathe. So yeah, you just heard my computer go off. Big deal. Now, thank you, all of you, so much for your support. Give it a like or a dislike. Share it around if you like. That kind of helps too. Subscribe if you wish for more of this stuff, both new or old flicks. And follow me on Twitter. My tweetie's just down below. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.